fills the air. Figure Force, vlogging here and there and everywhere. YouTube videos without compare. They are the Figure Force. They are the Figure Force.
Figure Force is the codename of 4 daring, middle-aged, highly obsessed toy vloggers. Its purpose, to bring toy reviews and nostalgia to YouTube, a video sharing website that allows users to upload, view, share and comment. Hi, I'm Rudy Zissou, and this is the heart of the Ghostbusters. The heart of the Ghostbusters, that would be Ray Stanz. I've mentioned before in previous videos where I've looked at Ghostbusters toys that Egon has always been my favourite character. And that's because of my enjoyment of Egon throughout the movies, the real Ghostbusters, the Extreme Ghostbusters and the various comics. But saying that, I have an awful lot of love for Ray Stanz from the real Ghostbusters and especially the Kenner toy range. And by gifts from other people, I now have a Wave 1 Ray Stanz, and I believe this is Wave 3 Super Fright Features Ray Stanz. So this first one, if I tackle Ray Stanz in his OG get-up from the movie, was a gift from Xortrider through our Figure Force relay. And I never had a Ray Stanz as a kid. I actually had Peter Venkman. And I got him from Argos. And back in the day, when you went to like either the toy shops, whether it be Woolworths or WH Smith's, and for me, I went to Argos, and you typed in the code, and it was always that stipulation of, because there was, 4 figures in the range, it was 1 figure supplied. Styles may vary. And I ended up getting Peter Venkman, which I didn't mind at all. I just wanted a real Ghostbusters toy. Luckily enough, my next door neighbour, who was 3 years younger than me, he had Ray Stanz, so we both had 2 characters to play with. So here we have Ray Stanz from Kenner's Real Ghostbusters. And I'm so pleased to finally own an actual Ray Stanz, just because I'd only experienced Peter Venkman, and I think I had Egon Spengler with the second wave, which was the Fright Features, where you pushed his arm and his tie flew up and his eyes, ba-doing, popped out. So I'm going to treat this with the utmost respect, because I know how easy, through experience, how these break. And I say that because whilst playing with my next door neighbour, his name was Richard, he had his Ray Stanz and I had my Peter Venkman. And I put my Peter Venkman down and I was playing with the little rubbery ghosts. So we had the 2 ghosts that came with the figures, and he was twiddling away with the proton beam, and he pushed it a little bit too hard and the back part snapped off. And because he was a little bit younger than me, he went into, a fit of tears, which I can fully understand, and I've alluded to in other videos of crying because, you got given a GoBot when you wanted a Transformer. And I was just like, no, it's okay. Why don't, because I'm not playing with my Peter Venkman, why don't I take the Proton Pack off the back of my Peter Venkman and put it on yours? And in doing so, I accidentally ripped off these parts where the proton stream gun fits onto his arm. So we literally, in the space of a minute, broke 2 real Ghostbusters toys, both purely by accident. And I think because I was a little bit older, I didn't mind too much because, you know, there was other toys to play with. So this is why I'm going to treat this with the utmost respect. 1, because I know that it's Xortrider's toy from his childhood, and 2, because they break so easily, and you often see them at toy fairs where they're not in the best condition. But, you know, it's a standard action figure, 5 points of articulation, with a little bit of head movement and the arms and the legs. But the detail on the Proton Pack is so close to the cartoon, and it's an incredible cartoon. It is one of my favourites. Like, the first series is incredibly dark with some really sinister stories, and the Kenner toy line just looks like they jumped off the screen. You know, the Diamond Select toys now, I've got Egon, are incredibly detailed, but if you think about where they originated from, these are, you know, thinking 30 odd years back, they are incredible. And how detailed is, you know, a tampographed logo. And he's got that portly belly that I fondly remember so well from my childhood. So yeah, that is the Wave 1 Ray Stanz. And this one though, this is the Wave 3, the Super Fright features, where with the button on the back gives you the Wah! I never saw these as a kid, ever. By that point, I'm thinking, looking at the garish colours, I'm thinking this is possibly early 90s. If you think about other toys at the time, we were getting into the realms of the Dago colours. If you have a look at Toxie, it's this crazy lurid Dayglow orange colours with the fluorescent blues, pinks and purples. If you think about G2, Bruticus with his Dayglow camouflage look, it's very stereotypical. And as I said, by that time I'd already had a couple of figures, Venkman and the standard Fright features Egon. But this was a gift from my wife, who randomly came home and said, "Look what I've got your Ray Stanz." And I'm like, "Oh my god, this is incredible." And she's like, "Look, look, look, it's got like a feature on it." And I'm like, yeah, that's the Super Scare feature. And she was like, "Well, isn't it cool?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's cool." But yeah, it's a really interesting figure to own as an adult. And I think it has something to do with this crazy looking full-on like suit with a helmet. And again, another beautifully tampographed Ghostbusters sign. And the craziest looking accessory, it's got this whole like metal detector feel to it. If you were ever going to bust ghosts, that's the type of accessory piece of equipment that you would want to catch ghosts. And they all come with these rubbery ghosts made out of that soft, translucent plastic. Kenner really did make some phenomenal toys in the 80s and early 90s. And for me, this is just a shining example. My thanks goes out to Xortrider and my wife for donating these to the collection, and they will be loved for a long time. I just have to be careful that I don't have an accident and break them. Ray Stanz, the heart of the Ghostbusters. In today's video, I mention an accident, but in all seriousness, accidents don't just happen to other people, they can happen to you. But you can do some things to help prevent accidents from happening. Using a seatbelt when riding a car can save your life and prevent you from being seriously hurt, for example. So, use your common sense and think about what you're doing. It's better to be safe than sorry. So now you know, and knowing is half the battle.